Well, we're just about a week away from Minnesota Wild training camp and just a little over a month from the start of the new season. Cannot wait. Kevin Gorg joins us to break it all down. Plus, we've got PW names to discuss. That and more, as always, were created by New Voice Studios, brought to you by SotaStick, presented by Talk North, Royal Credit Union, Livea, Jim Beam, and Grainbelt. This is Season 6, Episode 244.
At Jim Beam, they know the importance of tradition, like chanting, "Let's play hockey" prior to the start of each game, or playing the State of Hockey anthem after a Wild win. This season, raise one to your fan family with a bourbon that invites us all to come as friends and leave as family. Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey, the official bourbon whiskey partner of the Minnesota Wild and XL Energy Center. Drink smart. Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2021. James B. Beam Distilling Company, Incorporated, Fairmont, Kentucky.
Hello, everybody. What's up? We're back. Bardown, Beauties, Episode 244, kicking off Season 6. And what greater way to reintroduce a new season than with our good buddy, Kevin Gorg. KG, what's going on, my man?
Well, congratulations. First off, 244 shows. That is impressive stuff. Way to go, ladies.
Thank you. We do what we can, right? I mean, we try. Each week we show up, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but we're here each and every week. It's that dedication.
We dabble, and Jessi hasn't fired me yet, and I still get to bring up Taylor Swift. So it's a win-win.
Wasn't she at the U.S. Open with Travis Kelce? I saw some video on social media. They were dancing away, having a good old time at the tennis match.
She was, and she's had a couple of really, really good outfits this week. So she's looking real good lately.
I'm
by
not
the way,
too...
that haircut. Listen, I'm no one to critique hair, but Travis Kelce, man,
No.
Come on. What are you doing there?
I'm not a fan either.
He got me like 4 points in fantasy this week. It was not a great week for my fantasy football team, Gorgie. I know you're big into fantasy sports. We got how many football teams we got rocking this year?
I've got 3 guillotines that are all going to survive, which is my number one priority. And in both my season longs, I'm going to lose. And I didn't have a terrible week. I ran into a couple of buzzsaws, including our mutual friend, Dan Myers, who put a whooping on me. And Dan is a fantasy guru. So I think you have to take a loss to the guy we call Finns with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's all right. They'll take in some players that we could bet on for the Minnesota Wild. Kevin, we're closing in on training camp. The season is about to start. September 19th, camp will open for your Minnesota Wild. How are we feeling? Pretty quiet off season, which, you know, is nice in some sense. We get to enjoy our summer. Billy Guerin's hands still tied a little bit with that salary cap, but some moves, not a whole lot of crazy. How are you feeling heading into the 24-25 season with your Minnesota Wild?
I'm feeling good. I do think obviously what happened last year is hard to replicate with the injuries and all the setbacks they went through. So I do believe this is a playoff team. I still think, you know, they're a couple years away from being a legitimate like cup contender. But listen, we're looking for some progress here. And if this team can be healthy, specifically on that blue line, getting Spurgeon back, I think is going to be huge. When you look at the 6 that they're going to put out there, with the progress that Brock Faber's made, I really think that core is as good as any in the West. You know, again, I think Double K and I talked about it on my show on Wooden Sticks. The goaltending is the X factor, and whether it's Gustafsson, Ballstead, Fleury, I don't know how this is all going to sift out, but they just need to get NHL average goaltending to be a playoff team, and if they do that, we should be okay.
And KG, we know that you love and appreciate some good goaltending, so heading into this year, what do you think that goaltending situation is going to look like?
I think early on, they're going to give all 3 guys a look. I really do. You know, they're bullish on the potential that Jesper Wallstedt has. We saw just a little glimmer of that last year. I still think Gustafsson has to have a bounce back season, and I think they're going to give him the chance right off the hop to do that. You factor in the injuries, the pressure early in the season, the trip to Sweden, the fact that he just signed that big deal. You know, I've talked about this a lot. Goaltenders peak at a far later age than the rest of the guys out there. You know, a good player, whether it's a defenseman or a forward, can peak in his early to mid 20s. Goaltenders are much closer peaking late 20s, early 30s. And so this kid still got, I think, some potential. But he has to figure out a way to get off to a good start. I think last year getting off to a slow start really, I think, set him back. And I think outside of maybe one of the games he played over in Sweden. He just didn't find that traction, and I think it just snowballed from there. So camp to me is super important. I think this year takes on a whole different level of importance with the way they started last year. And then you look at the schedule, ladies, and you realize they have 2 home games to start the month of October, and literally the rest of the month, this team is on the road. There are some big challenges ahead.
Although Jake Middleton said he might kind of like that because it removes some distractions, right? I mean, you're on the road, you have nothing but to eat, sleep, work, hockey. So maybe there's a little bit of a benefit to that.
I agree a little bit, because I think on any hockey team, the road is where the team comes together. At home, they kind of get disjointed, and now you've got half the guys that are married with kids and half the guys that are single. And so I understand that, and I certainly respect that. I just think to have that many road games in a row, to be on the road for 10, 12 days at a time, which is what they're going to be doing, there are still some challenges. And when a part of that road trip takes you down to Florida, take on the Panthers and the Lightning, it's a daunting looking schedule in the first month. And this is a team that Bill Guerin and John Hines, they've all talked about how they want to get off to a better start. Well, this month of October this year, I think really sets the tone for the entire season. And I'm not saying they have to go out there and start the year 8-2-1, but you better win those first 2 home games, and you better find a way to split those 7 or 8 road games you're going to have consecutively. You do that, and then you put yourself in a real position to have success as the season progresses. Because yeah, it's 82 games, but as we found out last year with the start they had and losing Dean Evison, you can't win it in October, but you can certainly lose it.
Well, and Kirsten and I only get paid for home games, so that's also detrimental to our bank accounts when they're on the road for that long. So
right.
I know.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, frankly. I want to circle back, Gorgie, on the goaltending. So actually chatted with Bill Guerin on Judd's Hockey Show over on Score North last week. And in between me ducking the chirps that he had for me, which was the entire episode, mind you, I did ask him about carrying 3 goaltenders. Do you think it benefits Valstead to be up here and learning under Marc-Andre Fleury, even if he's not necessarily getting the games in? Or do you think it's more beneficial for him to be in Iowa? Guerin had mentioned, they would consider all options. And as you had said, I think they're definitely going to give Gustafsson the opportunity to earn his way back. But as far as Jesper and his development go, it seems like he's done pretty much everything that he can down in Iowa. So what's the best situation for him as he continues to develop and get closer and closer to that starting NHL position?
Well, Jessi, I'll start with this. The time with Marc-Andre Fleury is going to be super valuable. Anytime he can get with the flower, I think is going to help him figure out what it takes to be a pro and what it takes to be a go-to goaltender, because the way that Marc-Andre Fleury carries himself off the ice, the way he prepares, and then the enthusiasm for which he practices with is only going to help a young player like Valstead. I still think he needs games. And if he's getting enough games with the big club, that's great. And I'm not saying he needs to play, 2 or 3 games a week, but if he's going to be up here, he's got to be playing a little bit. If he's not, then he needs to go to Iowa just to get those games. You cannot at that position mimic what it means to play in a game situation. You can practice all you want. Goaltenders, especially young ones, need to play in games, and it's a great league. The American Hockey League has all kinds of talent. It'll test him no matter what. His numbers tell you that. Like, his numbers are good, but they're not like through the roof. So he still needs those games. And I think there'll be times when he's up and times when he's back down to play a weekend of games with Iowa. And I think that's the balance they've got to kind of play along with. And it's going to be depicted by 2 things: how well he plays in big games with the big club and how Gustafsson's doing. And, Bill Guerin's going to have some choices to make. I think this is the swing year at that position. You have to assume this is the last year for Marc-Andre Fleury. Do you feel comfortable with both Valstead and Gustafsson moving forward? Or do you move Gustafsson knowing that Fleury is going to retire likely and bring in more of a veteran goaltender? This is a big, big year at that position for the Minnesota Wild.
And KG, this next one, it's not a question, but I'm going to give you the name of somebody and let your thoughts just run wild. It is somebody we mutually adore and love to talk about, and their name is Eriksson Ek.
Oh, God, you know what? We should all work like he works. I wish I could work with the intensity for which he shows every single day. I adore him. I respect his work ethic, what he brings to this hockey team. And I think we found out the hard way in that playoff series a couple years ago that he's probably the most valuable player they have up front. I know Kaprizov is their best player, And people always try to argue this with me. I get it. I mean, nobody can replace 97. I'm not saying that. But all the things that Ek brings to the table in all those areas, this is a team that isn't exactly bursting with centers that can win faceoffs. He's that guy. He's a shutdown center. He's a penalty kill guy. He's a power play guy. And he's a guy that's going to score 25 to 30 goals. I mean, he literally has his fingerprints on every area that is needed for this team to have success. And the beauty of it is he has no ego and he works his ass off every single day. The Wild are, I tell you what, they are very, very fortunate. Not only that they have him locked up for a long time.
And he pisses the opposition off. So we love that. A little grit in there, a little staring down the other guys. It's just, he doesn't say anything. I just love it. I love that they just get so irritated with him. It's classic.
He can't be fun to play against, and he doesn't have to say anything because I think he's so consistent in the way he plays the game and where he goes in the offensive zone that at some point the guys he's playing against just lose their minds because he doesn't talk. He just works, and he's super hard to play against. He's a horse. Like, you can't move the guy. And so, yeah, it's funny, even when you play those Eastern Conference teams, how it bubbles to the surface at some point in that game. And even though these guys don't even know this guy, they hate him. And I think that's a real testament to how he plays.
I mean, you know, our audience loves to come at me about the lines. They need to know their lines, Kevin.
Oh.
Jules Eriksson Ek, is he your number one center, or do you balance things out and put him on that second line? Where do you think he would fit, and which wingers are we putting him between to start, do you think?
It's a fascinating question. And I think if you're reading the tea leaves like we all try to do in the offseason, it's at some point early on, I think they're going to reunite Zuccarello and Kaprizov. And I think that's the right thing to do to get the most out of Matt Zuccarello here on the back nine of his career. He's still got all kinds of great skills. And I think he's at his very best when he's paired up with Kirill. So you put Ek up there, that leaves Marco Rossi in that coveted second line center spot, and he does have some pretty good chemistry with Matt Boldy. The bigger question for me is, can anybody step up to provide 15 to 20 goals on the wing with those two guys? Marco Rossi is a lot like Mikhail Granlund, and I know, Jessi, that's a player that you loved. He's more of a playmaker, and so he has to have two guys with him. They're going to shoot the puck. And I think of Liam Ogren, and I maybe am getting ahead of it here. And maybe this is wishful thinking, but I watch the way he practices, the way he can shoot the puck, the skill set that Ogren provides. And he's a shoot first guy. And so I think of a player like Marco Rossi, and we know how aggressive Matt Boldy is already. You put a guy like Ogren on that wing with him, and how much better does this hockey team look? Because, you know, Marcus Johansson is criticized a lot by a lot of Wild fans on social media, and I understand that. The guy has talent, there's no question. But how much more effective can he be in a bottom six role with some of the matchups he'll get there towards the end of his career? And now Ogren, if he can take that little step, and I don't think he's that far away, that second line becomes a real player. And then Ek fits pretty well between those two guys at the top.
So Ogren, he's on the team out of camp. We're going with it. That was my follow-up.
As I head to training camp here in the next week and a half, that's the first player I'm going to lock in on. I really want to see what he looks like. I'm not giving him anything. If I'm that coaching staff and if I'm Bill Guerin, I sit him down day one and say, in a perfect world, if you take the next step and you provide this, here's where you could land, and you could end up in Iowa. Like, you give him that fork in the road right now, because this kid has the NHL body. He has the skill set. There's a spot where these guys have to kind of grow with it and move into that position and go. And I think he looks like a top six guy. I don't think you give it to him right at the hop, but I think you certainly get a bunch of looks in some of those preseason games throughout training camps, see what the chemistry is like. I think he could be a really good fit. And I think the Wild would be a much better team if he can take that step and provide top 6 minutes, because, you look at the way those next two lines line up, you're going to get some great matchups for some guys that I think can put the puck in that. Ryan Hartman, Johansson, Foligno. I mean, you're going to get guys in a really good spot against some really soft matchups. And now you've got some depth of offense.
Well, I think that leaves us with one question for you, KG, to round all this out. Do you have any good movie recommendations coming up soon?
Oh man, the excitement level I have for Wicked over the holidays, I think it's going to be Thanksgiving when that comes out. Being that I've seen the Broadway show a handful of times and took all three of my daughters to see that show, it's got a little sentimental value to it. And maybe the previews are overhyping it, but I think it looks spectacular. And so for me, it's been kind of a dull summer. I got to tell you, it hasn't been a great summer for a moviegoer like me. I'm not a Beetlejuice guy. Sorry. But I look at the holidays are when the big ones come out, and Wicked to me is the next movie that's got me counting the days down. So great question. Appreciate the love for the movie theater, and can't wait to see Wicked.
I love it. All right, Gorgie, we'll catch up with you coming up. Gosh, that is next week. And when you said that, I was like, holy cow, that's next week, isn't it?
Yep, it is.
Man.
It's crazy how quick it's coming, but I got to tell you, hockey season, especially early, it gets the juices going for all of us that work in broadcasting in this great business and in journalism, all the stuff we do around the rink. Like there's something magical about October and when the calendar switches. And I love that they open up at home against Dean. I know the sad story behind the scenes with the tragic loss of Johnny Hockey, but to have Dean Evason back on opening night, I'm really excited for that. And we're not that far away. Like as we sit here right now, ladies, we're 1 month away from the real season starting. And for all hockey fans, that's what it's all about.
And you get to
Hockey,
see us.
That is icing on the cake.
You're
And I
supposed
get
to
to
say
see you
yes.
guys on a regular basis, which
Yeah.
again, I don't know if you lost the address or the directions, but Canterbury Park still racing till the end of this month, by the way. And I'm there every single race day. And I've had conversations with both of you about coming to see me. In fact, hold on 1 second.
He's got receipts.
I even have an envelope with
Oh.
St. Cloud colors because the young lady here, lower screen, has said, yeah, I'll come to Canterbury. So I'm like, well, I better make sure I save some passes. Thus,
I'm still
on the
coming.
envelope.
No, I'm
Okay,
still
well, you got
coming. We're
3 weeks.
finalizing a date. I can come soon. It's going to happen. I've never been there before. But also that
so much
envelope,
fun.
the handwriting, the legendary handwriting of Kevin Gorg. I don't want to throw that envelope away.
If I can get an envelope like that, I will come to Canterbury because that sounds
I'll
fun.
have one waiting for you, Jessi. I promise.
I
Blue and
appreciate
gold
you.
for Matamidi, of course.
There we go. Oh, yes, we love
See?
that. KG, you're the best. Let people know you had mentioned Wood and Sticks on our same Talk North channel. Tell people where they can catch that and be sure to subscribe, rate, and listen there.
Yeah, Wooden Sticks has been a fun venture. Just got going here. Nowhere close to 244 episodes, but we usually record on Wednesday. The show comes out normally on Fridays for the weekends. And Tony Granato will be my guest this week. Superstar hockey player, coach, the whole thing, legendary hockey family, guy that played on a line with Wayne Gretzky and roomed with Wayne Gretzky. I'll tell the story on our show this week where I got a little overzealous going to the Met Center for morning skate, and I called Tony a little too early in the morning, and Wayne Gretzky, a cranky version of 99, answered the phone and wondered why I was calling before 8 a.m. And I was maybe just a little too excited to come over and watch the LA Kings practice. But, we just have a fun show last week with Dave Matzold, who's my counterpart in Columbus, and certainly going through some really tough times down there. Great personality, great dude, and shed the light on some of the challenges and I think the successes that Dean Evason is going to have in Columbus. He had a chance to sit down with Dino, and like us, already just loves the man. So interesting show last week, and of course we've got Tony Granato on this week. So I appreciate you giving me a chance to plug Wooden Sticks.
I can't wait to listen to that. I would take a cranky Wayne Gretzky over like no Wayne Gretzky. I would take him in any manner almost. I think I would be terrified. I would be absolutely terrified and mortified, but still pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show. And I've known Tony for 35 years and played high school hockey with his brother Donnie, who just lost his job with the Buffalo Sabres, but had a heck of a run. So I've known the family for a long time. Obviously, Cammie Granato, we played street hockey with her growing up when the family moved to Burnsville back in the mid 80s. So it should be a fun show. I know Tony's going to take some shots at me, kind of like Bill Guerin with you. I think it's a sign of affection. So that's good.
Yeah.
But we'll have some good laughs. There's one other story that we'll get into where I actually went and visited Tony out in LA, and Gretzky was hurt. Just my luck for the 2 games I was there. But I did go in the locker room, and I might have thrown his old bucket on and maybe got criticized by Marty McSorley. So we've got a couple of stories that we're going to tell, and we'll have some good laughs with Tony Granato.
No one tells them better, Gorgie. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to talk some P-Dub in just a little bit. Stay tuned. Hey guys, Jessi Pierce here for Livea Weight Control Centers. Did you know that Livea is the trusted leader in safe and effective weight loss? Their team of experts will create a personalized plan that is easy to follow, and the one-on-one support will help you get to your weight loss goals. Just look at me. I am down nearly 30 pounds. Couldn't be more thrilled. The one-on-one support I get at my Woodbury clinic, in addition to the nutrition plan and Livea Medical, has helped me lose the weight and keep it off. I couldn't be more thrilled, you guys. Join Livea today and you could get 8 weeks free. That's right, 8 weeks absolutely free. Livea is the destination for all weight loss solutions. If you're interested in their medical option, visit livea.com to get more information and decide if that's right for you. Again, join today and get 8 weeks absolutely free. Call 855-GO-LIVEA or visit livea.com. That's livea.com. Let them know Jessi Pierce and the Bardown Beauties sent ya. All right, we are back. Shout out again to Kevin Gorg. Go over and check out Wooden Sticks. I love me some Gorgie.
I literally love him so much. He's the only person, quite frankly, besides Eriksson Ek, I would wake up this early for in the morning.
I know.
Like you can probably hear it in my voice. It was a wild weekend. I was screaming, honestly, singing Taylor Swift a lot in my living room. My voice is shot. Like it's gone. I'm sorry, everybody. I rolled out of bed this morning and I could have slept for hours more. But to get to talk to KG this early, no questions asked. I was here.
Yeah, you were. I'm proud of you. I'm a little hurt that you wouldn't get up this early just for me, but that's fine. I'll come.
You'd be a close second. Nah, actually, I said Eriksson Ek, so yeah, third.
Fair. That's fair. There was another reason to wake up early this morning, perhaps to turn on Good Morning America, to check in on PWHL team names, you guys. They have officially announced the inaugural 6 names. You have the Minnesota Frost, which, okay, we'll reserve comment until we name all the names. Minnesota Frost, Boston Fleet, Montreal Victor, New York Sirens, Ottawa Charge, and Toronto Scepters.
Yeah.
Just let them sink in.
I love the Boston Fleet. I love it. I think that's
cool. I like it. I do. New York Sirens.
Not bad.
Not bad. Ottawa Charge.
Lacrosse team is what it sounds like.
Toronto Scepters.
What's a scepter?
Isn't it like a staff, right?
Oh, like in Little Mermaid?
The pitchfork? Well, that's a trident.
Oh, so maybe
I think the scepter here. Let's see. Here is the scepter. Hockey fans. Wikipedia. Yeah, it's a staff or a wand held in. I always think of Maleficent. She has a scepter.
I don't like it.
Maleficent.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it has nothing to do with anything, I don't think. The Frost to me, and I know a lot of fans aren't huge into it. Actually, I've seen a good amount of both. But it's too much like ice or blizzard or freeze. Like I don't love that. It's too childish.
It also reminds me of a lacrosse team name. No disrespect to lacrosse. I just know
I love lacrosse. I don't know why people are coming at
Frost.
Is it because like box lacrosse is kind of cheeky like that too? And
I think so. I think so. I mean, really
Swarm
don't
was
like
a
it.
Terrible name.
I really don't like it. And also, and I knew it wasn't going to happen. But I really wanted it to. And at least have something cool, something like Minnesota, something that screams Minnesota. The Minnesota Purple Rain would have been so sick. And also, I think I would have preferred the Superior to the Frost.
I mean, neither lend themselves to like, let's go Frost. Right?
It's childish.
It is. Like, it's just, and all I think of too is in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
I love that movie.
Frost yourself, right? Like, I don't know. That's all I think about as well. That's all I keep hearing in my head.
I just don't like it. We could have done something better.
I don't. And again, I mean, they were never going to get everyone on the same page. Not everyone was going to be happy. I would agree. It's just kind of amateurish. But I thought the PWHL did a nice job with the unveiling. They were very in sync with everything as far as changing out the logos and making the announcement and everything came out all on time as they tend to do. So I think that's good. I know merchandise is now available, so you can go take a peek. I haven't seen what any of it looks like. They're still purple. So there's that.
I love the
stayed same.
purple. Love the purple.
I kind of almost just wish it would have just stayed the names.
Really?
I know I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm so up in the air right now with all of it. I don't know.
I need another nap for this to really sink in process.
Mhm.
I'm gonna let it marinate a little bit. That's my favorite word lately. My favorite
Marinate?
phrase, gonna let it marinate.
I like that. I'm gonna let him marinate. I'm still marinating that. Yeah, Bill Guerin literally made fun of me for an entire episode of podcasting.
That makes my heart really happy. And one of the things that I was gonna say, but we were running out of time, with Kevin Gorg, the thing I'm most excited about is he and I, when we are together, we gang up on you, and it's incredible.
Everybody does this.
Honestly,
Like,
one of my guilty pleasures.
it happens all the time. And even on Judd's show, when Bill Guerin started jumping in on me, then Judd and AJ were like, yeah. And it was like this gang. Like, I just sat there and took it. I always just sit there and take it. I had to bite my tongue real hard to not get real sassy back because I could have said some things that I would have probably regretted. But, something about how shitty the team is. I don't know. Like,
I don't know. There's just something about making fun of you or picking on you that's really fun.
Because it irritates me, but I don't do anything about it. Like, I'm never actually mad or sad about it, so I just take it.
I think for me, it's because I'm always that friend that people love to pick on because
Yeah.
I take everything so literally. I don't get jokes. I don't get sarcasm. They go right over my head and people get a reaction out of me. And that's all
Yep.
they're trying to do. So I think like with my friend Frankie, I pick on her so heavily. I just love when you find a person you can pick on. Oh my goodness. It's honestly my
I don't
favorite
pick
hobby.
on anybody. I'm always the person.
That's because you have zingers, I feel. Like you don't have
Sometimes I'll
jokes.
slide
Like
'em in.
they just cut.
Watch out.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Scepter.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. I'm stupid. I'm sorry, Toronto. That is bad. That's gonna do it for this week's episode. Again, shout out to our friend Connor Beaupre, who was with us getting some great photos to kick off season 6 and some video. Stay tuned to all of our social channels for those to drop. Shout out to all of you guys. Obviously, our friends over at SotaStick, Talk North, Royal Credit Union, Livea, Jim Beam, and Grain Belt. Love to you all. Stay tuned. We'll have some other exciting stuff coming up this year as hockey season gets closer and closer. And that's gonna do it. Have a great rest of your week.